Our speaker is Dan Medlin. He has been a speaker several times to Launchpad before. He is a recruiter. He's been at Dresser Wayne, except at GE Wayne, I guess is what it became called, and is currently a recruiter at Samsung. He also is an author, and he wrote what I consider to be the most comprehensive job search book that I have ever read. It's called The Star Approach to Job Hunting. I could never have done anything nearly as good. I tried to get Workforce Solutions to purchase hundreds and hundreds of copies of that book, which would have helped him out tremendously. He could have retired, and give that to every one of the people that came through our classes, because I thought it was that comprehensive. And I believe it's about to go into its second edition, which means that I'll be buying a number of copies to give out as door prizes. But in the meantime, he's got a great and interesting and informative message that we're all going to want to hear. So let me just get him up here. Dan Medlin.
Because I know that there's a lot of myth and there's a lot of reality, things that you hear about working with corporate recruiters, working with agency recruiters. How do you navigate through that system so that you can get in front of the actual decision maker, right? The hiring manager. Because that's the ultimate goal, is getting in front of the hiring manager. And so that's really what this presentation is about. But I'm going to spend a good deal of time helping you understand who these people are: human resources professionals, corporate recruiters, agency recruiters, what their mindset is, and then what your strategy is in dealing with that, okay? So hopefully that's going to be a really helpful message for you. And then I'll answer any questions that you may have. Well, I heard this. Is that true? I'm ready for those questions. What should I do about this thing that's on my resume? Ready for that question. So we'll do that as well. Before I move on, I just want to mention any veterans in the room? Veterans? Thank you very much. This is the month to recognize that for sure. And yesterday I was at the Red, White, and You hiring event. Did anybody go to that? Red, White, and You, yes. We met. You came by my table. Good to see you. There were some fantastic employers at the Red, White, and You job fair yesterday, and they have open positions. I was telling, what's his first name? Hugo. I was telling Hugo that Time Warner's opening a new NOC here in town. They're recruiting all kinds of call center, all the way up to IT professionals to get that NOC moving. So, and if you're in IT, you know what a NOC is, so I won't go into detail there, but hopefully that's an opportunity for some of you folks. Other employers that you remember seeing there? eBay was there, yeah. That was pretty cool to see them there, and yeah. A lot of state agency, Department of Transportation, some security companies were there. It was definitely targeting that veteran clientele, but it was a good event. I know that you guys are getting out there and networking, putting your feet on the ground and getting out to these events. That event in particular, there were a few different people that came in the door that weren't necessarily veterans. They weren't turned away, right? So when you see these events that are advertised, open to the public, get out there, go, right? Whether you think there's going to be a great job opportunity for you or not, you get up, get dressed, get out there, polish your elevator pitch, shake some hands. It's a great experience for you. Well, anyway, on to my material here for you. So let me talk to you a little bit about human resources professionals. Who are they? Any HR professionals in the room? Richard? At the back? Okay. HR professionals. So we were told in probably junior high and high school, you're really good with people. You're very helpful. You give good advice. And we thought, how can I leverage that into a long-term career? And a lot of us go into human resources for that. The more crazy ones of us, and I mean like literally crazy, go into psychotherapy. Okay. Not actually just getting psychotherapy, but actually becoming psychotherapists, because they're usually trying to figure themselves out while they're helping you. I almost went that direction, so I speak from experience. All right. So HR managers. Today, the ratio of an HR manager or HR professionals to the number of employees that they are serving is around 1 to 250 employees. And they are responsible for every one of those folks. And because of our personality, we feel accountability for every one of those folks. And the other constraint a lot now is that a lot of us have an organization that's spread out internationally. So we're dealing with clients that are remote and around the world. And we have no more than a phone call with a lot of the employees that we're servicing and helping. So what does that mean for you? I'm going to get into that. Hold on real quick. So corporate recruiters. So you've got the HR professional, right? This is the person who's responsible for the internal employee relations and moving processes through for HR. And then you've got the corporate recruiter. This is my side of the desk in the human resources world. A lot of us have spent time on the dark side. Who knows what I mean by that? Yes? What do I mean? Well, yeah, we've all been looking for jobs because recruiters move around a lot. But the gentleman over here said headhunters. That's right. So a lot of the best corporate recruiters out there today have also spent time on the dark side, that is, as a headhunter, working in agencies. That's good. That helps you because there's some strategies that you can play once you find that out. Once you are talking to a corporate recruiter and you find out that they've also spent time in the agency, then you know the mindset there. We are definitely loyal to our current employer, right? And we will bleed our company colors. And just remember, we're loyal to our employer, right? We're looking out for great candidates, but at the end of the day, we are going to do what our employer asks us to do, right? There is a process in the corporate recruiting strategy, the method that we're going to move through. And so it's always a good idea to know where you are in that process. And we're going to be moving through that. And the other piece to it is that the hiring managers that we support want the perfect candidate. They always want the perfect candidate. And sometimes they're willing to wait months and months. And I know that's painful, isn't it? For that perfect candidate. When you say, hey, I've got at least 80% of the skills that you're looking for in this position, the hiring manager is holding out for the 99%er. We're incented to find that perfect match for our client. Our philosophy is to reduce the field of total applicants as quickly as possible to narrow down to what we call the short list. You heard that term before? The short list. You want to be on that short list. I'll talk to you a little bit about how to get there. Most of the time, we're working on a lower volume of open requisitions, anywhere from 15 to 30 open positions at any given time. Okay? Now, on any, for a position that I open at Samsung, because of the brand of Samsung, I'm going to get anywhere from 100 to 200 applications on every position that I open. Okay? So 30 positions times 100 applications, and I've got to reduce that field as quickly as possible to get my short list built, to get that up to the hiring manager. Your strategy dealing with corporate recruiters and HR. Get a name wherever you can. It's not always easy, but now with social media, getting on LinkedIn, getting on Facebook, you're going to find us. We have to be able to be found. We have to be highly networked. So find out who that corporate recruiter is. See if you can connect with them. Send them an in-mail. Let them know that you applied online to their posted position. Give them the job number that you applied to. And then be patient. And hopefully they'll ping you back with a quick answer. Okay, thank you for that information. I'll find your application in the applicant tracking system. You can ask them additional questions like, well, can I email my resume to you as well? I'd like to send you some additional information. You might not get an answer. Because remember, 30 open requisitions times 100 applications. They're dealing with a lot of volume of that communication. The other thing that you want to do, I think, working with human resources professionals, but also it's a long-term strategy once you get into the hiring manager, is to do your research on the company that you're applying to. Make sure you know who this is. And you never know when you're going to get a phone call or an email from a recruiter or an HR professional who's posted a position that you've applied for, and they say, hey, this is John from software company A, and I saw your application. And then you're trying to go through your memory of the 100 or so different positions that you've applied to over the last few weeks, and you're struggling to remember software company A, who they are. So I think it's really helpful for you to have a good organized list of every job that you've applied for, every company that you've applied to, who they are, what their website is. I would build an Excel spreadsheet with all of that data, how many contacts you've had, who you've talked to, so that if they give you a call and you can pop open your laptop or get your tablet open, find that list real quick and go to that company's website right there while you're on the phone with them. But you've got to do your research and let them know what you know about the company, how excited you are to possibly work for that company, and also, very importantly, who you know in that company, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about how you network into a company and build contacts within that organization. And as soon as you do, letting the recruiter or the HR professional know who you know in that company will be very helpful. Last thing that I want to make sure that I stress for you here, and then you're going to see this repeated a couple of different times, is to keep your personal business personal. And it's real easy, when maybe you haven't talked to too many people in a given day because you're online networking and applying to jobs, and then that call comes from a recruiter, and the floodgates open up. And you want to talk about your kids, or you want to talk about, your struggles with your previous employer and how bad your most recent boss was, and it just starts gushing out. And guess what you're doing to yourself? Exactly, right? So keep your personal business personal. And that is consistent with all of these different contacts, okay? Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about recruiters and headhunters at agencies. So there are a variety of different recruiting agencies that you might come into contact with. Large corporate agencies, names that you guys have come across, recruiting staffing firms, Volt, Manpower, any others that you guys have seen? Randstad. Okay, these are big global companies. Usually the big global companies, the big named companies, typically their practice is to hire very young, very green recruiters and mold them into their process, which actually is not very different from another big global recruiting agency, but they think it is, and just burn them out for as fast as they can. And that recruiter is going to get as many good candidates into their database and get as many different jobs open and fill as many requisitions as they can, and then be burned out in about 18 months. So there's a lot of turnover in those large staffing agencies. That doesn't mean that you stay away from them. If they've got jobs posted that you want to go after it. But you need to know who you're dealing with there. It's usually a young, green recruiter, doesn't have a whole lot of experience, and they've been trained in the methodology of this global recruiting agency. Now, specialty recruiters, specialty agencies, these are recruiting agencies that specialize either in finance, high tech, semiconductor industry, etc. And their name is usually going to reflect that, or a lot of times the name of the agency may be like a law firm, Jones, Smith, and Reed, recruiting agency, because it's usually founded by some specific people that have said, I'm tired of the big global recruiting agency, I'm going to go start my own, and we're going to specialize. You want to have contacts in both of those different kinds of agencies. I'm going to talk about that in just a second for you. But I want to make sure that you understand the recruiting agency does not work for you. They're hired by a company to fill a requisition, and they will be paid by that company. So follow the money. Whoever's paying them is who they work for. Okay? Now, will they help you? Will they work with you? Yeah, they definitely will. We'll talk a little bit about what makes a good recruiter for you, the job seeker. Will they listen to you? Or are they just rushing you through a series of questions and cutting you off? Will they help you with your search, give you tips, advice, just little things? You start hearing a few of those different things, that's a recruiter you want to keep going back to. Will they help you polish your elevator pitch or tweak your resume? Sometimes they will. That's a great recruiter to work with. And will they network with you? Will they accept your LinkedIn invitation? Will they refer you to other people online on social media? How many different recruiters should you work with? Right? Because that question comes up a lot. Anybody have that question? Yes. Okay. How many different recruiters should I work with? So this is my basic recommendation. Take it or leave it. Other people have other opinions on this. But I recommend at least one recruiter at a large, multi-purpose, global kind of agency like a Randstad or a Aerotech. One recruiter at a small specialty kind of agency, at least one. Because once you understand what your niche is, whether it's finance or IT, find a specialty recruiting agency that serves that group and work with at least one. And then possibly at least one headhunter out there if there's, should you come across one that you feel like could market you and work with you. But I want to make sure that you understand you should never have to pay for a recruiter's services. Now, I don't know if that's really happening anymore.
One place.
Yeah? Okay. It still is, right? I don't even know why they keep trying to do that, right? Because the employer is going to pay them a fee. And if they're good and if they're a good headhunter, they will get paid by the employer. So they don't need to take it out of your pocket. So I'm seeing questions, and this is a sensitive area, so let's go. Give me their questions.
Do you have any suggestions for how to find a specialty recruiter in your field?
Google. Yeah. If they're a good firm and they've got a message, then you should be able to find them. Just search them online. Yes. Yeah. Actually, gentleman in the purple had a quick question.
What's the difference between a headhunter and a recruiter?
Not really any significant difference, other than, typically, from nomenclature, a headhunter is typically going to be considered someone with more experience, who works on a fewer number of open requisitions, and usually works on higher level positions, executive kinds of positions. That's the typical reason for differentiating between a headhunter and a recruiter. But overall, if you've been in the business for a while, you do consider yourself a headhunter as much as any other title. Question, yes?
So it's clear that you've been, you're a professional, you've been at your craft for quite a while. I've noticed there are an awful lot out there who are not nearly as experienced as you are.
Right.
But it's very difficult first to know that that person really doesn't know what it is in their craft. And you spend time investing with that person, and then find that, okay, that was great.
Yes.
So as much as you're very efficient, candidates are, you have to be very efficient about
Your time, absolutely.
you do less than this, finding a person like you who can be our ally.
Yeah. No, it goes back to this. That's your answer. They take time to listen to you. They have tips and suggestions. They'll network with you. They know the online community. That's a recruiter you want to work with. You'll find out fairly quickly. Will you have to waste your time with a few recruiters on the phone? Yeah, you probably will. It's part of the game. Does that help?
Yeah,
You looking for more?
Can you please be specific with your answers? Like walk us through step by step how we would find a good recruiter, specifically a good specialty recruiter? Would we just go into LinkedIn and say if we were an IT, we would look recruiter and then keyword IT?
No, I think I'd probably do a broader search on Google or whatever your search engine of choice. And as many keywords as possible, so I'd put in recruiter, I'd put in my area of specialty, finance, I would put in agency, I would put in, your city, Austin, and, do a fairly broad search initially and then start narrowing it down from there. Is that not specific enough for you? Okay.
It just sounds like it could be a wild goose chase. I mean,
That's going to take some time.
The other approach for you, if you like, is when you run your job search for open positions that you're interested in, go to Indeed, do a job search for open positions. The more active agencies that fill positions in your skill set will be advertising those positions. I'll prepare more on that. So I appreciate that there's an interest in understanding more on how do I search and find good recruiting agencies, and I'll put together a better presentation on that going forward. A lot of questions. Are we in the question and answer phase? Is it all specific to this? Because I've got a lot more material that I could go through. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I don't answer some of your questions, and then we can go back to it. Okay? All right. Okay. So again, the agency mindset, the recruiter at an agency, they've got a couple of different things that they're working on here. One is they need to identify that great match, that candidate that they can market not only to their current clientele, but maybe future clientele as well, right? So they're looking for what we used to call it rock star candidates when I was at Robert Half. There's different, MVP is another term that they'll throw out. Hey, I've got an MVP here. I'd like to market this candidate to multiple different clients. So you are being sold. You are their product, right? And that's good. You want that, okay? You want to know that they are marketing you not to just one position that you applied for, but to multiple clients. And so you can help them put together a pitch or a presentation, write a nice, bold summary about who you are and what you're great at doing that they can then take and flip and market to multiple clients. They're also looking for fairly common skill sets because they'd like to market you as a candidate across the board to multiple different clients who are looking for those similar skill sets. So when we talk about these classes that Consulting Solutions is providing, and they give you research that says Java, object-oriented design and development, .NET are hot skills right now, and you've got some IT and programming knowledge but haven't picked up those skills, get those skills, get that class, get that certification, right? Because those are commonly marketed skills in the marketplace right now, and that's going to make you a candidate that the recruiting agencies will work with and market to multiple clients. Does that help? Okay? So maybe this helps a little more. Look through your network for referrals of good recruiters. Ask the body here, who have you worked with? Who's good? Who's bad? Who cut you off? Who listened to you? Get names. And I would imagine this group as a whole could probably build a really solid list of good agencies to work with. But remember the point that I mentioned, that there's a lot of turnover. especially in the big agencies. So about every 18 months, there's another recruiter coming on board because they've scared off yet another one off of their staff or worn them out. And so an agency that is kind of on the naughty list today could be on the good list in another 18 months. Again, I mentioned give the recruiter some good marketing material for you. Make sure that they have your marketing plan, your resume, a couple of copies of cover letters, some referral letters if you've got them, any materials that you can provide so that they can build a great portfolio to sell you. So not just your resume, but a whole portfolio of information that they can use to sell you to their clients. And I also say, follow up with those recruiters, right? They're busy, they're working many open requisitions, probably double or more of my staff. And, they're getting a lot of questions. Their first response, remember, they work for the employer. That's where they're going to get paid. So the first email that they're going to respond to is from their clients, not necessarily from their candidates. So you need to be patient, but follow up. Probably every 3 to 5 business days. How are we doing? Have you heard anything back from the client? Still interested in that position? Now, so the ultimate goal of your search, obviously, is getting through these different gatekeepers, human resources, agency recruiters, or corporate recruiters, and getting to the hiring manager. Anybody seen this material before? If you've come through Right Management, you've probably seen something similar. Okay? This is kind of the recipe, if you will, for what they're looking for. And you've got to spend some time making sure that you fulfill this recipe before you know if it's a good investment of your time to really go after that recruiter and follow up, follow up, follow up. Am I qualified for the position? Do my values sync up with the values of that company? Is that a company that I would want to work for? And does the public information that they're saying about themselves match with what I feel is important for a company to have? The chemistry, you're not going to find a lot about this out until you maybe get in with an interview, but as you begin networking within the organization, meeting people either on social media or publicly at different happy hours or networking events, can I carry on a good conversation with these folks? Are these people that I would enjoy spending time with? Because if you enjoy spending time with them, they possibly enjoy spending time with you, and chemistry will outweigh qualifications many, many times over when you get to that interview. And then culture, do you fit in with the traditions and personality of the organization? Can you find out the culture of a company before you go in for the interview? Yeah, and how do you do that, Richard?
You do that by trying to find somebody that works in that organization.
It's usually going to be conversations with actual employees. Yeah. People who work there. Connect with them online. Get a conversation going. Find out about what's the work life really like in that organization. The other things that you're really working on as you build your profile of you, what are you an expert in? Build your expertise, right? Each of you have a career behind you and a number of key experiences that you can build your expertise. And then where do you reflect that expertise? How do people know what you're an expert at? It's typically going to be online, so a solid LinkedIn profile, a consistent branded profile of yourself across all social media. Recruiters today will go out, and if you're a good candidate and they want to pursue you, they will research you online, and they will find every place that you can be found online. And so how are you reflected on all of those different places where they may find you, on Facebook, on LinkedIn? What kind of messaging do you put out on Twitter? And then once you understand, what that organization is like, what their work life is like, where their managers go for social events, what networking events would people who work at this company go to, then that's where you are. You want to be seen out there working their game, wherever they are. We talked a little bit about social media. I've got some material here. So LinkedIn, #1 business networking site out there. Profiles? Yes? Everybody? Okay, good. How does your Facebook profile match what you're saying about yourself on LinkedIn? Just polar opposite? Oh, you've got it locked down. Okay, that's definitely one option. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So, 7 rules for successful online networking. If you haven't done this already, get your profile buttoned up, cleaned up, choose the right tools, know which online media you're going to have your profile on. Complete your profile, get your photo updated, a nice business, professional looking photo, color photograph, okay? Why do you do that?
Fresh look, free impression.
Right. But hopefully it's the second impression. You met them, you send them an invitation to connect, they go to your profile and they see your picture and they remember you. If your picture's not there, how are they going to remember you? Okay? So it's just one of the most simple, basic things, but I see it all the time of folks that just haven't put a photo up on their LinkedIn profile. So make sure that you do that. Search and find people that you already know. So start with your personal network of contacts, family, friends, church, synagogue. Your children go to, have soccer, and you meet other parents out on the soccer field. Connect with them, right? Are they in your industry, or are they going to have a job for you? That's not important at this point. You're building a broad base of contacts, because it's not necessarily the first person you connect to, the one-to-one connection, but the second or third level of connection that probably has a position for you. And so you've got to build that broad base of contacts to start that process. Make recommendations for professionals that you know, and seek recommendations from people that are good influencers, past employers, past managers that you've worked for. Join groups that are related to your interests. Stay off of groups that don't reflect well on where you're going professionally. And that goes for both LinkedIn and any other social media site. Be a good citizen, I say, on LinkedIn. And you learn that a lot here at Launchpad Job Club. How are you helping other folks? What kind of tips, advice are you giving? It will become known when you do that online and you give tips and suggestions. It's usually going to be done, within the different networking groups that you join when you're online. I still have a note about Dresser Wayne that I built this presentation when I was still working there. Stay active, meet potential candidates, and I say meet, in other words, virtually. You're out there connecting with people. Okay, Facebook, I want to talk to you just a little bit about this. You have a couple of different options. You can have the lockdown option, which means I have a Facebook profile, but I've made my privacy settings that only people I am friends with can see my profile. Right? That's in this privacy settings area within Facebook. So you can do that. That's one option. The other option is clean up that profile, because anybody that you do connect with and become friends with on Facebook can go in and see all your photographs. They can see your timeline. They can see comments that other people are posting on your page. And so, are you connected with old friends from high school that have gone in different directions than you want to go in? Yeah. Maybe you need to unfriend them for a little while you're in your job search, right? I had one of those situations, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, one challenge is that I've got lots of nieces and nephews and lots of family out there that aren't necessarily as controlled
Right. And so you can, you know, kind of disengage for a short period of time while you're in your job search, or you can lock down your privacy.
So why is that? If I post something on the timeline that's rejected, where it can't just go through you?
How quickly can you get to that? Especially a teenagers on there with their smartphone and they, yeah. Okay, great tip here. So you can set up your privacy settings ahead of time that only things that you approve will be posted on your page. Yeah. Yes.
I think one thing that a lot of possibly young folks need to keep in mind is that once you post a picture on the internet, it never goes away. You got to be real careful what you post.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. It's going to be out there somewhere. Stay relevant to your search, what you're doing and where you're going career-wise, both on LinkedIn and on the more social media sites like Facebook. So your posts, your discussions, anything that you're engaged with while you're in your job search need to be entirely focused on your job search. I know that sounds kind of boring because you'd like to have fun, right? But during your job search time frame, have fun offline. Online, it's going to be found. Pictures never go away. A lot of comments, posts, tweets never really go away. And it can be found. I was recruiting for an HR manager to join my company, not this current one, but a previous one. And we were really excited about this candidate. Really excited. Until we went to her Facebook page. And we saw some interesting party pictures. Right. And some things that she was doing with a champagne bottle. So, we didn't move forward with that candidate. Okay? So, you know, again, keep your personal business personal and be careful about what you have out on social media. Twitter, any avid Twitter posters, okay? You know, I use it only for business purposes for the most part, either to promote something that I'm doing professionally or promote my book or different things like that. So I don't really use Twitter a lot for social purposes. But if you do, the rules remain the same as they did for Facebook, is to keep it professional, stay relevant, be polite, don't get caught up in off-subject chatter. And there are generally some topics that you kind of stay away from that are charged kinds of topics. Politics, religion, sex. Stay away from it, okay? Stay away from the chatter on that kind of stuff. Keep it clean. I think you'd want to do that really all the time, anytime. But during your job search, you've got to be extra careful. Now, any bloggers? Got a blog? Okay. Do you blog about things that are relevant to your career, or is it something completely different? All relevant to your career. That's fantastic.
It's about being an authentic person.
Yeah. Okay. Pinterest. Yeah. Okay. You got your most recent cake that you baked, or what are you doing on Pinterest?
Are you talking?
Sure.
I have actually a combination of things. I'm very interested in information visualization, leadership, and then I've got one on professional dressing.
So that's blogging, or? Okay. Okay.
My blogging is mostly I'm a product manager, so it's mostly in the technology and leadership fields.
Nice. Yeah. So that is spot on what I would advise anyone to do, right? If you're a good writer and you are comfortable with the technology, to get out there, because you remember the piece that I said about become the expert, show your expertise. That's where you're going to do it, right? And you want to get into a situation where you've established your expertise in such a way that recruiters are calling you, you're not having to hunt them down, right? That's the ultimate goal, yes.
Do you want to have a blog or something like that about a completely non-professional interest that you have? Should you create a pseudonym? Should you create a parallel identity?
You could, and I've advised that at least once before. A gentleman that was a phenomenal software engineer, but he was also a guitar player in a very heavy metal band, okay? And the image of the band was not consistent with what he wanted to do professionally, but he was also a very good guitar player and in a very good band, right? So we created a pseudonym for him. He had a stage name already, so we changed all of his social media profile to be on his stage name, and then he kept his professional LinkedIn profile and other sites with his real name. And his photograph of himself on the band page was quite a bit different than his photograph on his LinkedIn profile. Ponytails do wonder.
What about tattoos? They have a lot of tats.
He didn't have any on his neck or face, so we were able to get a good face shot. Okay? This kind of comes out of the Star Career Workbook, where I talk about how you build contacts within a company and get inside that circle. So who might contact A be, right? We talked about a parent that you meet at a sporting event. It might be somebody that you meet at church or another function. Okay, just a random person, you find out that they work at that company, right? Company A. So what do I want to do with contact A? Hey, can you get me a job? No, not yet, right? Yeah, so first is research. Tell me about the company, what's going on, what's the product, what are the drivers, how's the company making money, what's the work life like, all right? Research. A lot of contact A is research. Then, yes, Kathy, ask them for that next step. Who might you introduce me to in the company? I'm really interested in this position that I've seen posted online. In the meantime, I'm looking for another contact in that organization. So now that I've got one good contact, I can leverage that person to find another contact as well, because I want to spread my bets, and so that's contact B, right? Now, I'm probably, I've already found at least one person in that company. Now I'm probably going to go online and look for another contact. So I'm going to research on LinkedIn. I'm going to run some Google searches. Who can I find? Who can I connect with? Who knows someone who I know that I can connect with and build that second contact. Contact B is probably somebody then that you're going to very quickly say, hey, I met Sally at a soccer tournament and got to know her, and she works there at your company as well, and this is what I've learned and so forth. Contact B says, hey, that's great information. Well, the reason why I'm doing this research is because I'm very interested in this position that I saw posted, and I've applied for it, and I'd like to get an introduction to the hiring manager. Do you know who that is? You can go for the kill with contact B. Contact A may have to leverage another introduction to you, but at some point you're asking for that next introduction to the hiring manager. Sometimes you may not know anyone at a company, but you've seen a phenomenal position that you're going for, and there are a number of different ways that you might want to try to connect with either the hiring manager or some other contacts that you can build in that company. This is just one tip. Send them an invitation to come to a networking event, a professional meeting of a professional association that you belong to, where there's a key speaker talking on a subject that's relevant for that company. And you might send that invitation directly to the hiring manager if you can get their name, or you might send that invitation to some other contacts that you can build in that company. And there are a lot of different tactics like this just to try to get some networking, some face time with some people in that company. Who's tried other different techniques like this to get an introduction with people in a company. Yes?
Associations are outstanding. In previous job searches, whenever you don't have a job, you go to the association who runs it. You know, they always send out a newsletter, but they send out an email blast, and I have never been turned down. Hey, can I put my resume in the back of that email blast? Why, sure. And then it goes to hundreds of people folks in your association that know exactly what you do, and they've always been more than helpful. So associations.
Professional associations.
Great help.
Right. Okay.
Lots of times if you're following a company, they'll advertise through their social media or their blog, they'll advertise a mixer, a meet and greet, and you can meet people at
Yep. And when big events are coming up around Austin and the company that you're tracking or following is a sponsor for that event, so South by Southwest is the first one that comes to mind for me, and they say, we're sponsoring a booth at this event related to South by Southwest, fantastic opportunity to get some face time with people in that company. Okay. Any other ideas on networking with and getting in front of contacts within a company? Any other things that have worked for you guys? Yes.
Well, I'm in renewable energy, and I just went online and found all the networking opportunities. There's like 5 or 6 regular meetings of renewable energy networking that happen in Austin.
Yeah.
I go to every one of them all the time, and pass that business card, make sure that I'm seen and people know my expertise.
Right. And one at the back.
Yeah, Dan, I took a course on Coursera, and on just taking a course on Coursera, the guy who was giving the course was a professor, and he put me in contact with the person in the company down here. He made me in contact right there.
That's right. Taking classes, going to either free or paid trainings, or, yeah, can't beat it. And the people that are in those classes are great contacts that you can build. Okay? Excellent. The meeting strategy that you're typically following, if you kind of keep this in mind, before you know, if you've got an actual scheduled meeting, somebody has said, yeah, I'll sit down and have coffee with you, tell you a little bit about the company. You want to set expectations right off the bat. You know, I am looking for a position and I'm interested in a role in your company. You know, this is one of the main reasons why I'd like to meet with you. But I'm not going to ask you to hire me or, you know, put in a recommendation until we meet and I get to know you and you understand who I'm all about. Set expectations. Talk about your search. Where have you been? Who are you interviewing with? Other companies that you're interviewing with. Gives a couple of different edges to this conversation. One is, you know, kind of puts some competition in their mindset. Oh, he's actively interviewing with other companies. If we're interested in this guy, we better get him in for an interview here as soon as possible. The other piece is that it shows that you are on that track, that you're following other companies that are similar, and that you've thought this through. This is your plan, and you're going after this company. Ask for information about the company, do some research, get to know them personally. How did you get into the position that you're in at the company? What do you like most about working at this company? What do you like least? Ask a lot of questions, and then finally ask for that referral, ask for that next step. So you've got to really spend some time here, and I think there's another piece that would kind of be right in this area here, is not only ask for information, but ask, how can I help you? You've spent time with me. Yeah, I bought you an expensive cup of coffee, but there's probably something more that I can help you out with as well. Piece of research, another contact or another network, how can I help you out? A lot of times their answer is, oh no, I don't need anything. But it may come back around at some point. They'll contact you, so you keep that invitation open. And you remind them, you know, once or twice a week, hey, I really appreciate you having coffee with me. Things are going well with maybe an interview opportunity or the next step that the person that you referred me to. That invitation is open. Anything that I can do for you, please let me know. The other piece that I talk about a little bit, and we use this in recruiting and sales, people in sales, Who's in, no, nobody from sales, okay, right? ABC, right? What does it mean? Always be closing, right? What does closing mean? Yes? Now, you're a candidate. What are you selling? Right. And so if you're closing, what is it that you're trying to get into their mind? This is the guy. This is the gal. This is who we want to hire. I see this person in this chair. They're going to do great here, right? So what are some different techniques that you've learned? I've got some I'll share with you, but what are some techniques that you've learned on closing? What does it sound like? Yes?
Find their hurt.
Find their pain. Oh, wow, that's a real struggle there. That seems like a pretty big challenge. You know, when I was at my last company, we experienced something similar, ... Okay, find their pain. That's a great one. Yes?
One of the things that you can back up a bit, when you said, who's here in sales, I noticed no hands really went up. Actually, everybody's hands should go up because everybody is in sales because they're trying to sell
You're all in sales.
themselves to whoever they're trying to talk to for a job, recruitment, or whatever. One item, though, on your mention as far as sales is, what is it that you are offering that can benefit them, and what can you do to help them in their further search? Now, is there anything else I can do?
Yes.
Like you mentioned up, is there anything else I can do? Anything else I can provide for you? How are we doing so far?
Right.
Those kinds of questions lead back to a response as opposed to a yes/no answer.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yes?
I'm always looking for what the closing will be. So asking them, when do they look, when are they thinking they'll be done with their search? What is the next step? When would be the best time to contact? I'm always looking for that next opportunity to have the next contact with them.
Right, right.
If it's not going to happen today, I need to know when is the best time to come back after.
The other question that you want to ask is, who's the perfect candidate for this role? How will you know when you've got the right person sitting in front of you for this opportunity? And then you mold yourself into that person for them, right? The other thing is you begin to start using present tense language, talking about things like, you know, can't wait to be part of the team, looking forward to working with you. And that kind of language starts for them to start to visualize you in that team, in that organization. And there was another one, yes?
Use a term that can make it a little uncomfortable, is perfect. I understand where you're going.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm getting at is, I've seen a distressing tendency to write for job recs that have listings of, must be expert in this as long as my life. This person doesn't exist.
Yes.
So, how do you get past that mindset and to the, not the fantasy, but the right fantasy?
Yeah. So that's when you need to ask the must-have versus, must-have versus like-to-have kinds of questions. So I'm seeing all of these requirements on your job posting. Can I ask a few questions about which of these are really must-haves and which are just would be nice to have, and get some clarification on that from you?
Well, I can have a dialogue when I'm talking to you, but before we do the interview,
Yeah.
how do I get to
How do you know?
where,
Yeah.
if you posted something like this on your site, I saw it, how do I get to the point where I can actually talk to you and figure out, like, oh, that gazillion long list is not actually right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably not going to be contact A or contact B who are introducing you. It's when you're finally in front of that hiring manager or talking to that recruiter when you can ask those questions, right? So you're going to build those contacts and get introduced while you're working your application through the system. And then once they refer you to the hiring manager or to the recruiter and say, hey, I've talked to this gentleman, I think he'd be a great fit for this role. We should give him a call. Now you're finally talking to the recruiter or an HR professional or hopefully the hiring manager, and then you can ask them those questions. Does that make sense? Probably doesn't answer everything you'd like to know, and we can definitely go on after this session and drill into that a little bit further. That's a whole presentation in itself. How do I navigate through a job description? Yeah. Yes?
When did it become prevalent just to do the laundry list of requirements? I know when I was hired just a couple of years ago, I would do exactly what you talked about, and the basics of must-haves and preferred. But just in my recent search, I rarely see any type of diligence like that in job description. And I guess my partial question would be, is Samsung doing what you would like to see as a must-have?
For the most part, yes. We try to clarify between must-have and nice-to-have. And, you know, I've trained my recruiters to push back against hiring managers who give us a kitchen sink job description. I say, 20 different things that you're requiring in this position. That's what we call a purple squirrel. You ever seen one?
Most of them are the generic perfect communicator, perfect organizer, and all of that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's prevalent. Most of the job descriptions, half to three-quarters
Okay, that's all right. So it's up to you. You can just keep applying for jobs. You know, you can keep throwing your resume out there. It's a volume game, right? If I send out my resume about 1,000 times a week, I'm fine. I've got to land something eventually, right? There aren't that many job postings, really. Not new, unique, really real job postings anyway. So really, I think where your choice is going to be is over on the right side. Be bold, make contacts, network, meet people, get conversations started. Creatively get recognized, build your expertise. Does it take a little bit more time? Not really, not necessarily. Because if you're just going to shoot your resume out and that's all you're going to do, and you're just going to sit in your pajamas all day and fire out resumes on Monster Job Board, eventually you might land a job, but I guarantee it's going to take just as long, if not longer, than actually getting dressed, getting out there and networking and meeting people. Yeah? Okay. Definitely open for any questions for you. This is just my little promotion piece on the Star Career Workbook. I published this when I was unemployed between a couple of different positions. I wrote this book because I recognized that there are folks who have these incredible opportunities like through Right Management and Lee Hecht Harrison and DBM. Do you know how much your program was that your company sponsored for you? Yeah, multiple thousands of dollars. Okay, I'm sure the price has gone up since I was in the industry. I would venture to guess that your package was at least $5,000 to $10,000 that your company sponsored for you. How many of you guys are going to spend $5,000 or $10,000 for the kind of guidance and advice that this gentleman is getting? You can't, right? You don't know what the future is going to hold for you here in this job market, so you're not going to lay out $5,000 or $10,000, right? But the content is pretty similar across all of those organizations, the methods, the techniques, etc. Between Right Management and Lee Hecht Harrison, pretty similar process. I boiled it all down into this publication, and I put it on Amazon for $19.95. Price has actually gone down now because not a lot of copies are getting sold, and they force you to drive your price down when you're not selling as many copies. But I strongly recommend it. A lot of the content here and the methods that I talk about are described in detail, how you do this networking. But the other piece that's unique in my publication that a lot of even the big agencies don't cover is the emotional side of what you're dealing with here. How do I deal with anger? How do I deal with stress? How do I tell my family what's going on here? How do I ride that roller coaster of emotions that I'm going through? And I talk about that in the book here. The other piece about this is that it is a workbook. It's not a novel. It's not a sit down with a cup of coffee and kick your feet up. It is sit down at the table with a pen or a pencil and be prepared to work. Because there's a lot of worksheets, there's a lot of questions, and as you're going through those worksheets and questions, you are building your communications package, you're building your strategy, you're building your plan, and by the end of it, you know where you're going and how you're going to get there. Questions? Yes?
I was contacted by a recruiter on the basis of my LinkedIn profile, and she said to give her a resume. I just got that together and give her a sent to her. And she asked me some target companies, and I gave her a list. Well, moments ago, indeed, I found a job listing. One of those target companies got my name on it. Should I close the loop on the recruiter and go in that way, or should I apply for it online, or should I get my resume and get my call and go over there and put it on somebody's desk? I guess in essence, my question is, for a recruiter is concerned, since it's going to cost that company money to hire me through the recruiter, should I go straight to it? Or will they give me an advantage?
You work for you, a recruiter works for somebody else. You spread your bets and you do everything that you can possibly do to get recognized for that position.
Right, but what is my best route to that position? Is it going through the recruiter?
All routes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go to them first and then I'll go to the
Yeah. Actually, do them all.
Right. Okay.
In sync. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Here. And then I'm back over here.
Question back on the LinkedIn profiles. If you as a recruiter, how much time you spend or looking at a LinkedIn profile, and is there any other slide shares or anything you help the decision that initially, or is that more when you get more short? Basically, I have a presentation of all the pictures and a little bit of information of all the products I work with.
Yes.
And things of that nature. Does that help
Yes.
initially or later?
That helps right from the get-go, right? The sooner they see that material, the better. So typically now, today, in this market, we're going to get your application. We're going to see at least 80% match to the jobs, the requirements that the hiring manager has indicated. And then the very next thing we're going to do is go out and search you and find your profile. And I've got 2, maybe 3 computer screens up, and I've got your LinkedIn profile on one screen, I've got your resume on another, and I've got my applicant tracking system in the middle. And I'm pulling all those different pieces together. So anything that you've got out there, presentations, recommendations, things like that, I'm looking at. Day one.
Take these 3 questions and no more.
Okay. Oh, wow, look at that. It is 11:45. Yes, sir.
I had a strange situation where a recruiter contacted me a few months ago. It seems like you're a great match for this job. I'm interested in talking to you. I read he said, contact me. So I read it. Okay. I contacted him. He hasn't answered any of my calls. I've called, email. Nothing comes back. I found the job online. And I applied to it online. Now, my question is, I haven't heard back from them, and the job's still open. So, I have 2 options. I can call the company that you work for and say, hey, can you look here? Can someone else help me? I don't know if that'll work. Or the other thing is I can go to the company and I can try just sending one email to the hiring manager.
Yeah. So I would try to find.
They don't seem like either's going to be successful.
Yeah. So I would try to build contacts with any employee in that company and start getting introduced into that company. You may right away stumble across and find the hiring manager, but that's not quite as important as just getting contacts, building some contacts in that company, and then go through that method. Meet them for coffee, ask them some questions, do your research, or just connect online and get some answers to your questions about the company, and then ask for a referral or a recommendation to the hiring manager.
Is not working with the recruiter company?
Is it an agency? Yeah. Yeah, if they're not returning your calls after how long?
Yeah.
Forget them. Yeah, go direct. And this is the third one? Oh,
What
okay.
is a tactful way to ask about what happened to the last person in the position that they're hiring for?
Yeah. Well, the way you just asked it would be fine, you know. What happened to the last person that was in this position? Or why is this position open? Is this position open due to growth, or did someone leave this position? Or someone left this position? Can you tell me why? I'm not afraid of that question, right? And you'll know if I'm tiptoeing around my answer too, because it'll show. Well, you know, we had a mutual agreement that it would be better for that person to move on, right? That could mean a couple of different things too, right? That could mean that, you know, we were the bad player, or that could mean that that person was the bad player. So you can kind of dig around that a little bit. But once I give you that answer, you got to be okay with the answer that I gave you and don't pry too much more, and then go back to your contact A and your contact B and ask questions there. Okay, yes. And this is, I believe, the last question.
About a year ago, before that contract got in Temple, I think my resume got out, maybe Monster or some of the other career centers. And there were a couple of recruiters that all called for the Siemens position, and it wound up being the eventual one that I did work in the contract. And it was like, first one, actually, there were two of them that actually, I think two of them actually said they want to be my exclusive representative for the Siemens, you know, for Siemens and Scott and White, which, you know, was kind of my effort. I want to turn that down, but, you know, is that something I should kind of accept? Because, you know, I've seen it more and more on some of those emails that I get.
Right, right. This is a difficult piece to the industry where a large employer who's going to use a recruiting agency to fill a position gives that job order to multiple recruiting agencies. And I wish they wouldn't do it. I've written many, many articles against that practice, right? Because you're the best candidate. There's only one of you. How many recruiters does it take to find the one best candidate? One, right? So I'm sorry to everyone, to the world, that this practice continues to happen, but it does. And so then what you get into is the agent or the headhunter saying, hey, you're an awesome candidate for this role. Would you promise that you won't work with any other recruiters? I want an exclusive representation for you, right? So your next question is, why you? Why should I have you as my exclusive representative?
Because they're looking for a job from you at that point.
Yes. So now the recruiter needs to sell himself to you. You know, why you and why your agency? What is your edge over the other agencies that are working for this client? Because I've seen this job posted by 3 other agencies. Why is your agency better to work with? And they better have some good answers for you. Exclusive relationships, top contacts, long-standing relationship with that business, whatever the case may be, and that's the agency that you want to go with. Does that help? Okay. Good. That was the last question here. I really do appreciate your time. Kathy's going to have to get the big cane and pull me off. Thank you very much.